Welcome to another episode of Todoist Learning the Basics. My name is Jerry Colbert, and in this week's episode, we're going to be learning all about the differences between deleting versus archiving. Coming up next. So here we are within Todoist for Mac. And in this episode, I'm going to be going over with you all the differences between deleting a task or project or archiving a project or task. Now, as you see here, I have Todoist opened up and I have a couple projects here, deleting versus archiving and child project, that I'm going to be archiving or deleting. Now let me explain to you all the differences real quick about deleting versus archiving. If you are to delete a task or a project, you're getting rid of it permanently. Now, if you wanted to archive a task or archive a project, you are getting rid of it only temporarily. You're basically putting it in another location that you do not see readily available for you to use in your everyday projects or tasks. So here we are with a couple projects, deleting versus archiving and child project, that I want to archive or delete. Now, you also see I have a task under here, a non-repeatable task as well as a child task. And let me go ahead and put another kind of task under here. All right, so here are a few tasks I got here. I got a non-repeatable task that was also a child task underneath that. And then also I have another regular task that I can cross off and get rid of. Now, let's say, for instance, I completed this project. And just so you know, if you want to archive a project, it's best that once you have completed that project and you no longer need that project for whatever reason, whether that be that you are going to use it later, or maybe you won't use it later, but you think you might in the near future, you might want to archive it. Now, here you see I have this child project here, and I want to cross off this limited task. Well, I can do that and cross that off, and it's gone. That task is gone. And I can either do that, or if I ever wanted to delete it, maybe I created this task and I really never meant to, or I don't really need it, I can just delete it. Either completing it or deleting it is basically doing the same thing. It's getting rid of it and now it's gone. Now conversely, if I have a child task and I click it, I can get rid of it, but it's still showing in this child task area right here under non-repeatable task. Okay. But if I can also delete it by getting rid of it, or I can archive it. Now, to be honest with you, I very, very rarely archive a task. I'll delete it if I don't need it or complete the task, but I very rarely archive a task. However, I do archive projects, and I very rarely delete a project. The only time I would delete a project is if for some reason I created that project and I didn't need it, or I'm reorganizing my project list and I decided that type of project or that type of thing that I'm doing here is not relevant anymore. Or I might delete a project if I don't think I'll ever use it again in the future. But for the most part, I archive projects because I might need to use that data later that's in that project. If I kept any of that data, like for instance, any of these non-repeatable tasks that I might create in there, I might need that data later, so I'll archive it, or maybe I might want to use that project later at a later time, so I might archive it. Now, if you are going to archive a project, and I'll show you here on this child project here, there's 3 little dots here, and when you click on those 3 dots, you'll open up this drop-down menu here, and you can click on Archive or Delete a Project. So if I was to archive this project, it's gone from this projects area and is now gone into the archive projects. And if you look right here, you'll see a little grayed out area here that you can click on called archive projects. So if you were to click on that and pull it up, you'll see all of the archive projects that I have had since I started using Todoist. And here is that archive project that I just did, the child project. Now, when you archive a project, any non-repeatable tasks, child tasks, or tasks that you have not completed will show up underneath that project still intact. Now, let's say, for instance, you wanted to delete. Let me unarchive that real quick. Let's say, for instance, now you see this is a child project underneath this project. Well, let's say, for instance, you wanted to archive this deleted versus archiving one right here. It will archive this one as well as this one underneath it because this is a child project underneath this one. So if you archive the parent one, it will archive it and put it in the archive list, but it's not going to be like a child project like it was under here where it was indented over. It's just going to archive them both here. And so if you were to unarchive it in the future, you would have to indent it underneath the deleting versus archiving in order to get it back to the way it was. So for instance, if I was to click on here on the three dots and unarchive this project so it shows back up here, I'd have to do the same thing under child project. And now it's there, and then I can indent it over in order to get it to be back to the child-parent dynamic that it was at one point in time. Okay? And as you see, everything that was underneath that child project is still there. So those are the differences between deleting versus archiving a project or task. And like I said, I typically do not archive tasks, but I will archive a project if I think that I might need it sometime in the near future, or I want to look at a project that I had once before and see what the data was in that if I ever need that data again. So now, if you have any questions or comments, please don't be afraid to leave me a comment right down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to click on that like button. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please click on the subscribe button and the notification bell. And with that being said, I want to wish y'all an awesome day, and let's become more productive. Thank you.